Now, South Africa has an abundance of private game reserves, but some have seen, unfortunately, a decline to attract tourists since the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, despite the financial challenges faced by some in the tourism sector, other game farms in the Eastern Cape are trying their best to ensure that nature conservation remains their top priority as well. Ronald Masinda out and about for us at the beautiful Shamwari Private Game Reserve. Ronald, good morning to you. Very, very jealous that you're in that part of the country. It's one of my favorite game reserves. The issue here, though, is what you've got is you've got ecotourism, and then in the case that you're looking at the moment, it's nature conservation, and people think it's the same thing. It's actually two very, very different issues, isn't it?
It is indeed, and beautiful is an understatement, Gareth, because yesterday we had the privilege of going on a game drive, and we obviously saw quite beautiful wild animals. The Big Five is also here at Shamwari Private Game Reserve. It is land that spans around 25,000 hectares, and we've already seen quite a lot of people around, some overseas tourists enjoying what this land has installed. But of course, nature conservation is also a very important subject and a topic. We've often also spoken about endangered species such as rhinos that have constantly been under threat in these parts of the Eastern Cape. We are joined by a game driver who will be taking us through the day. Thank you so much, Mr. Smith, for your time. Jason, first of all, talk to us about what your job entails, because I'm sure it is quite busy.
Yeah, thanks, Ronald. So our main job as field guides out here is to take out the guests that come and join us from all over the world, as well as locally. And from there on out, it's education mainly, interpreting what the bush is giving us. It's also, what links into what as far as nature is concerned, what our aim is out here. So we very much need to be ambassadors of South Africa, as well as ambassadors of what our company is trying to establish. And, talking about the rhinos earlier, a big factor of our job is to actually give the information about what is happening out there, especially with rhinos being poached and all sorts of things like that, and how important it is for tourism to keep on going, because that's what funds the effort to try and battle this big poaching epidemic we're having at the moment.
I'm sure you might have encountered some near-death experiences. Talk to us a bit about your own experiences.
Well, I mean, it's inevitable at the end of the day. You're out here in the bush. You're putting yourself in a very uncontrolled environment. Generally speaking, we tend to, as guys, be very responsible with guests. Without guests, we tend to relax a little bit more, and that's where some of those encounters would be happening a little bit more frequently, because you're curious. You go explore very dense areas, things that you generally won't necessarily take guests out into. But from there on out, I mean, I've had it a few times walking down into a riverline and, kicking a stone one direction, and the next moment that bush that I just hit with a stone starts roaring at me because the lion is sleeping there. Those type of encounters are scary, but we get the training to deal with it. As long as you don't run away and look, for lack of a better word, look weak, that animal will generally feel intimidated itself and move away. So yeah, those near-death experiences definitely come, but we manage as best we can.
World Ranger Day is also coming up. How important is this moment?
It's vitally important. These guys are out there protecting our wildlife day in, day out, 365. They're losing their lives. So it is vitally important. It's a day that doesn't necessarily get as much recognition as it should. It's a day where, for example, guides get, the glory from abroad. Oh no, we're coming for the wildlife experience. But at the end of the day, we just here to interpret, whereas the guys actually that are there protecting the wildlife that everyone is coming to see, those guys are in the shadows. They definitely need recognition.
Just finally, Jason, I'm in matric. Perhaps I also want to be a guide one day. What will your advice be to the young people out there?
So there are quite a lot of guiding schools out there. There would be a format going through FAGASA, which would be the Field Guide Association of South Africa, or Southern Africa now. That is the route that I followed personally, but there's also an NDT route to go through the Department of Tourism. But yes, you do a little bit of research online, you'll find the schools that there are. It's not a very long process as far as the actual studying is going, because it's a whole lot more practical. And from there you find placement, and it's good news at the moment. The jobs in tourism are rolling in again. We're getting to a point where, well, we're almost at a similar amount, if not almost more jobs than there used to be prior to COVID. So it's been very good.
All right, Jason, thank you so much indeed for your time. That was Jason Smith giving us a sense, Gareth, of what to expect today, but also more importantly, here in Shamwari Private Game Reserve, we do know that there are areas such as Patterson as well as Ellisdale, and many of the people who live from those areas are actually employed here. And in as much as COVID-19 pandemic affected many jobs, some people still have their jobs intact here. So we will be throughout the course of the day going through other areas just to get a sense of the experiences that this private game reserve has to offer.